Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a recent purchases update video. I'm covering my hits, my misses and my maybes as well, which are my purchases that aren't entirely fully successful but aren't completely unsuccessful either. So I hope you guys enjoy this and let's get started. So first up is my Fendi Mini Peekaboo, and I got this in August for my birthday. I bought it when I went down to London. And I have just pretty much been smitten with it ever since. Like, it is the cutest bag, and I wouldn't say it's without fault, but I love it so much that I'm willing to look past all my little niggles with it. So I have really been enjoying it. The leather to begin with is absolutely gorgeous, and it has this kind of spongy texture which I've never really felt in a bag before. It doesn't feel cheap at all, but it actually reminds me of those 3D stickers you get as a kid, like the ones which are slightly raised and have that puffy effect. That's kind of what it feels like, but in a really nice, luxurious way. I'm going to try my best to show you what I mean, but it's a very cool texture, and it just means it's really nice and kind of soft to the touch without feeling like overly delicate at all. This was obviously like a very expensive bag, but it does feel like beautiful quality, and I do feel like they really haven't scrimped on the details or just the general kind of craftsmanship of the bag. I love the fact that you have those beautiful gold feet there. Everything feels very substantial, like very carefully done. The stitching is all perfect. You do have that beautiful gold hardware trim. I know it's looking a little bit not pristine because I've kept the stickers on, which I should probably take them off, but I do like to try and keep my stickers on for as long as possible, just because I feel like it does help protect the bag. So I know it's probably a weird to me thing, but I want to keep those on as long as I possibly can. In terms of the capacity, it isn't huge, I'm not gonna lie, and you can definitely increase the capacity just by undoing the sides right here. So it is easy to increase it if you need to, but this isn't really how I think the bag is ideally meant to be worn, in terms of that just being opened out. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. It depends how much you need that extra room. I can kind of make do without it, but I would definitely prefer it if it was a little bit bigger. I have popped my phone inside so you can kind of see how snug it is. It does fit, and this one is the iPhone 13 Pro, I think. I do have a cover as well, so you do have a little bit of extra width. And it does fit, but it does bulge ever so slightly. Like, I don't mind that, and I'm happy to kind of deal with that to enjoy the bag. But obviously it'd be a bit better if it was just a smidge bigger. I could probably reduce that by actually removing my phone cover, but it's not the easiest fit in and out. So definitely something to keep in mind. I can make it work, and you can obviously just pop it in like that, but then it does peek out on the top. So it would definitely be better if it was a little bit bigger. That said, I do really adore the size, so I'm happy to make it work in that instance. And obviously you do have that option to kind of unfasten the sides, in which case you do have plenty of room, because it's just very flexible and quite malleable as well. On the inside you do have the two little pockets, and then on the other side it is completely plain. And because there is actually a decent amount of width, you can fit a fairly decent amount of items in. Like, it's never gonna be a huge bag, but I certainly don't have a problem with a card holder, lipstick, my keys, that sort of thing. It does fit everything in fairly well. It's just the slightly wider items that you might struggle with. So far so good. I do think it is an absolutely stunning bag. My niggles are mainly to do with the size and the fact that I don't always love kind of fastening and unfastening the sides, which if you need that extra space you will kind of have to do. That said, I'm happy to make do with the smaller capacity because I do love the look of it so much. And it's just a really beautiful bag, like very small in form, but absolutely beautifully made, and I've just been really in love with it. So definitely not perfect, but a very adorable style, which I have really been enjoying. Next up is a jewelry favorite, and this is from a brand I discovered, it was about a year ago I think, and I have been obsessed with their pieces ever since. Like, they really form my everyday jewelry. I've just not been able to take them off. So the brand is called Ideal, and they specialize in very luxurious, very beautifully made, but very cleverly designed and sustainable jewelry. So all the diamonds are lab-grown diamonds, which I love. And the pieces are stunning, especially because of how clever the designs are. So they specialize in modular jewelry, and what that means is you can buy a few base pieces and then use them in different ways to create different looks. So you can buy as much as you want or as little as you want, and you can create new looks accordingly. It is so incredibly clever. So the earrings that I'm wearing now, I literally haven't taken off since I got them. I think it's been almost a year now. So if you watch any of my videos, you'll have recognized these because they have not left my ears pretty much. So on the one side, I have a single stud, and then on the other side, I have that same stud, but I've added on an ear jacket. And they have a whole bunch of different ear jackets. I believe this one is called Jade, but I will link everything below. And it's just a really, really cool little feature. I just think it's so beautiful. You can have it on both sides if you want. You can have it only on one side like I do. Really, really versatile. But you can actually use the base single earrings to create a whole multitude of different looks. Similarly, I got this necklace in a couple of months ago and I've just been obsessed with it ever since. I've gotten so many questions about it as well. Anytime I wear it in a video, I get asked where it's from. It is absolutely beautiful. So I have the pendant here, which again is modular. You can mix and match it with other pieces. And then I just added on the chain. And it is so stunning, like very sparkly, very dainty as well. These come in a few different metal options. I went for the yellow gold and I just love it. Like very, very simple, like very much my style in terms of jewelry. I don't generally like anything too flashy or too much, whereas these are just sparkly enough to be really special without being too much for everyday wear. But I also wear these for special occasions as well because I do love them so much. These do have a really big celebrity following as well, so I think I actually saw this exact necklace on Mila Kunis. She looked amazing with it. So you do see it on all kinds of different celebrities, and I just see why, because they are so incredibly beautiful and I've just not been able to take mine off. They were nice enough to part sponsor this video as well, which I was so excited by because I've just been the biggest fan of theirs. Like their pieces are so beautiful and fresh feeling modern whilst also being very timeless as well, and you may be able to tell I just adore them. The packaging is also beautiful as well. Like you get a printed box, ribbon, you have this beautiful pouch as well, and then inside you get these boxes which actually house the jewelry. So obviously I've been loving the earrings, which I have not taken off for a year and are still just going so strong. Necklace that I've not been able to take off, but I did also just get in these beautiful earrings as well. So I got one different ear jacket because I've been loving this one so much. So this one is the single round stud one to kind of, I guess, mirror and match the single stud. But I loved the square design diamond. I thought that was so beautiful. So I went for this one as well. So I'm just planning on mixing and matching. So kind of swapping out my round one for the square diamond one when I feel like a bit of a change. I thought it was so beautiful, a little bit different as well. And again, just the right amount of sparkle without feeling too much. I just think these are beautiful. And then the other jewelry piece, which I am ridiculously excited for, are these beautiful diamond hoops. And these have kind of the same design in terms of like the ear jacket style. So again, you layer up that single stud diamond. I will include links to everything as well as the actual size I went for because these come in a whole bunch of different sizes. And then I just added these on to include the diamond hoop, which has that beautiful jacket effect. I thought these were so cool, a really nice twist on the traditional hoop. I'm not always the best with kind of really big hoop earrings. Like I like them in theory, but I don't always wear them that much. Whereas I feel like these are small enough to be very wearable. I love the fact they do look a little bit different with that jacket design. And I just think these are gorgeous. Again, if you have the studs already, you don't need to buy the studs again. So you literally just buy the attachments. And then as you build out your collection, you can add new pieces on and create entirely new looks. So would highly recommend if you are looking for some new jewelry, maybe looking for some Christmas gift inspiration. The pieces are just so stunning and I have been beyond delighted with mine, as evidenced by the fact that I've just not been able to take them off. Next up is my Mulberry Lily redesign, and I wouldn't usually include anything this new in a kind of recent purchases update video. Usually I like to have them a little bit longer than this, but this has just become such a fast favorite and I've worn it so much. I've just been loving it. Like it is so great. I can't believe it's taken me this long to go for this style either. I mentioned in another recent video that I had debated the medium Lily style for a long time, hesitated because I thought it was a bit too similar to my Chanel Jumbo, and then I saw this kind of new edition with the top handle, fell in love with it, and I'm so glad that I did end up getting this one because it has been so great. I love pretty much everything about it. Like I think the design is fantastic. I do wear it every single way as well. Like I frequently just use it with the top handle, but I do love the fact that it has that shoulder bag aspect as well. Like the dual way to wear it is so clever. I feel like it makes it so much more versatile as well. I love the fact that it is so roomy, but I would say that with the extra capacity, does kind of come some structural issues, like it's not the most sturdy by itself. I did add in a bag liner for that reason, and it definitely has helped. It's still never going to be the most structured and sturdy bag ever, but I find it's totally fine for me, and I do love the fact that you can literally fill it full of items and it just doesn't seem to get full. Like, it can really fit a lot in. And I do just tend to store it hanging up, usually on a door handle, rather than resting the chain on the leather, simply because the hardware is very, very substantial and I don't want it to hurt the bag. So that is something to keep in mind. If you like your very, very structured bags, you may not like this one that much. But for me, it is just structured enough that I don't really mind a little bit of slouchiness, as long as I can have my bag liner in there. That was definitely a good call. But I just think it's wonderful. I'm really, really happy I went for the chalk colour. It goes with literally everything. And I just think it's so chic and smart looking, like really, really elegant. I don't feel like the price point is too crazy either. Like, some luxury bags are now getting like silly prices, whereas this one I still feel like is fairly reasonably priced for the quality that you're getting. And I've just been loving mine so much. And now for a slightly more affordable but still very luxurious option, at least I think so, my Chloe Tabby bag. Like, this has been such a surprise to me. I have been enjoying it so much, and for my first Coach style, I feel like it's just been the best thing. Like, it makes me want to try other styles of them because it's been so great. I did go for the very small size, so this is obviously a very, very mini bag. They do it in the next size up as well if you did want a little bit more space, but I just found the mini style just too adorable to pass up. You do have the Coach logo right there, and then it just opens up like so. And you have that lovely kind of puffy interior. The leather is so nice. Like, it really does feel very plush and luxurious, and just so much more expensive than it actually was. I did get mine on sale, which helps as well, but I have been really, really delighted with the quality. If I had to change one thing, I would definitely remove that divider. I don't know why bag brands insist on putting dividers in their bags, because it just really reduces the capacity. Like, I know it does provide extra organization, but for me, I would always rather have the extra space. So I would prefer it if it didn't have that divider, but it's not the end of the world for sure. And you do have that pocket right there at the back as well. It fastens very, very easily with the magnetic clasp as well, so it just kind of slots into place. It is a fairly strong magnet, but not so much that it's difficult to get open and closed. And then you do have the adjustable strap. So this actually came with a shorter strap as well. I really haven't used that one at all. Like, it's really only been the longer strap for me. But it is nice that you have that option because it does make it that little bit more versatile. The leather strap is adjustable as well, which is always such a bonus for me. And then you do have that little Coach tag right there. There aren't any feet or anything on the bottom, but despite this getting a fair amount of wear, it's done pretty well. Like, I can't see any dirty marks. I have been fairly careful to kind of spot check it when I've been back home, so if I do see anything, then I just wipe it off, and that seems to be enough to kind of maintain the leather. I've not sprayed it or anything like that, even though it is a very, very light color. And so far it just seems to be doing really well. So definitely a successful purchase for my first Coach bag. I have just been enjoying it so much. And then last but not least, for my hits, I do have my Chanel 19 bag, which is still going really strong, and I'm going to try not to go on about this too much because I feel like I've raved about it in enough videos. It's been over a year, so I think it's been like almost 18 months now since I got it. But I have not tired of this bag at all. Like, I think it's so nice. I have really been enjoying it. And all my concerns about, you know, wear and tear and structure, they just really haven't happened. Like, I wear this bag very consistently, and crucially, I also don't stress about it either, which for a bag that costs this much from Chanel, like, usually there is a little bit of stress involved, at least for me. But because the leather feels so durable, I really don't feel that at all. It just feels like a very, very easygoing bag, albeit one that is very, very luxurious as well. The leather is very soft, but it doesn't feel like the Saint Laurent Lulu puffers. If you're familiar with those, there is like a very buttery feel with those, whereas this does feel like it almost has a coating on top, so it has a slightly different texture, but it doesn't feel unpleasant at all. It just feels very nicely durable. You obviously have that turn lock. I have had my bag liner in here ever since, like, I don't ever remove it. I do think that helps with the structure, so I would definitely recommend a bag liner, but I just kind of keep it in there all the time. It provides a nice bit of structure for the base and also the sides too, and I feel like that's just eradicated any structural problems I might have. So I am very, very pleased about the addition of the bag liner. You have a very handy pocket right there on the back as well, which is actually quite deep and useful, so I do tend to use that a lot when I'm out and about. And I do wear this every single way. You know, it's one of the few bags I have that I think looks good no matter which way you wear it. Usually most of my bags, even those that are quite versatile, I feel like there is like one preferred way to wear it, whereas I don't feel like that's the case with this one. Like, I think it looks great handheld. I think it looks really good crossbody, just on the shoulder. You really can wear it every single way, and I feel like it looks good every single way as well. So in conclusion, still very, very much in love with my Chanel 19. I know they are crazy money now. They have been hit with the price increases as well, but if I lost mine tomorrow, I do think I would replace it. I just think it's absolutely stunning. It has been worth the money for me, and I do still think it's a good buy if you like the style, because it's just so functional whilst also being super cute as well. Next up are my maybes, and I'm very sad to say that my Saint Laurent Mini Jamie is in this category, because usually it would be an absolute hit because I've been really, really enjoying this bag. But I have noticed a bit of wear on the bag, which has really concerned me, and so I'm going to do my best to show a close-up of it. But basically it has 4 little, I want to say they're called rivets, I'm not sure if that's the correct name actually, but where the little kind of gold circle bit is on the fabric, I've noticed a little bit of tearing right there with the fabric coming apart from it. And I don't think I've done anything in terms of, like, I don't remember there being an accident or me catching it all, so it wasn't like an accident in terms of it tearing. I think the material has literally just come apart from where it's all been sewn in. So that obviously isn't ideal. Like, I have worn this, but I definitely wouldn't say I've, you know, not being careful with it. I've been pretty careful, as I am with all my bags. It's had like a normal amount of wear and tear. I don't feel like I've overused it at all, but to see that so soon is definitely very concerning. So I am going to get in touch with the customer service and see if there's anything that they can do. I never actually had any experience with Saint Laurent customer service because I've never had to, like, I've never had any quality issues, which I guess is a good thing. So this is the first time I've ever really experienced anything like this, but I am conscious that this is something that could get quite a bit worse. And you know, it wasn't like one of their most expensive bags, but it certainly wasn't cheap, so I wouldn't have expected this to happen so soon on a fairly gently used bag. So hopefully it's just a one-off on kind of my particular bag. Hopefully it doesn't affect all of them, but I am going to get in touch and see kind of what their response is, see if they do have a warranty. Again, I'm not really familiar with how good they are with things like this. I would think they would be able to help, but I'm not sure. So that is why this is firmly in the maybe category. Hopefully it will move into my hits if they do manage to remedy the issue, but that's definitely a little bit disappointing, but fingers crossed that they will be able to fix it. And next up for my maybes is my Mulberry little puffer bag, and I was kind of in 2 minds whether to include this in this category, because I definitely wouldn't consider it a dud because I actually do really, really like it. But since getting my Mulberry medium lily, I have just been reaching for that so much more, and even though they're not exactly the same, they definitely have some similarities, you know, from the Mulberry lock to the overall kind of colour and the shape. Like, they aren't worlds apart, but I've just been using my Mulberry Lily redesign just so much more. This one is lovely, but I do prefer the chalk colour, and they do 2 different white shades in this bag. One is a very, very stark white, and there's this one, but it does have a hint of yellow to it, which I didn't really notice before. And then I got my Mulberry redesign and I was like, oh wow, actually, like, I see the yellow quite a bit more. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I will do a close-up in kind of natural light so you don't have any distortion, but I do feel like the chalk is a much more wearable shade of white versus this, where you kind of have to be careful with what you wear not to bring out the yellowness in the undertones. So for me, I would definitely prefer this, I think, if it was in another color. It's not the end of the world, but again, just having the other one has really made this scene a little bit more of a yellow shade than I wanted to. The actual function functionality has been really fine. I do think it's an adorable style. I have tended mostly to wear this though as an evening bag, simply because it's not particularly large. Like, the capacity isn't huge, even though the flap is very, very long. You get a lot of leather, but you don't actually get much room. So it's definitely more suited to an evening bag than an everyday bag, and you are quite limited in terms of what you can fit inside. I do like the chain that comes with it, but I think I would have preferred a leather kind of metal combo rather than just that very simple chain. Again, it just makes it feel a little bit more suitable only for evening wear versus a versatile bag that you can wear day to night like you can do with my Mulberry Lily. So it's definitely not like a super dud purchase, but having my other Mulberry bag has made me realize all the things I much prefer that one over this one. So swings and roundabouts, I still love the look. The leather is absolutely beautiful, but there are definitely some design tweaks I would make, both with the color and the actual functionality as well. And then last but not least, I do have my misses. Unfortunately, I only have one item in this category, but unfortunately, it's quite an expensive one. And it is my Chanel Melody bag. And I got this early in the year. I got it in April, I think, when I went to the US. Bought it from Heathrow, even though I didn't get a discount because they don't do discounts anymore, sadly. And I've used it on and off since then, but I've got to say, for something that costs this much money, and it was really expensive, I think it was £3,500 or thereabouts, I should just love this bag way more than I do. And there's nothing like super wrong with it, but I also just don't think it's that great either. And I mentioned this before, but this is really the first example I found of something that I bought from Chanel where I feel like the quality hasn't quite been there, and I really have noticed a difference in the quality between this and some of the other Chanel styles I own. And obviously I mainly own classic flaps, but I do own a few other styles from them, and I've never had any quality issues from Chanel. Like, I've always felt like, even though they are obviously insanely priced, you're still getting a very quality bag that will see you through hopefully decades. Whereas this, it just feels kind of flimsy, and it doesn't feel like a £3,500 bag at all. It just feels like it should be way, way cheaper than that. So even like on the back there, I do feel like it kind of slopes inwards a little bit because it doesn't have a whole ton of structure. The actual leather feel, it does feel durable, but it does also have a slightly plasticky feel as well. And then on the inside, they do have that fabric lining, and there's just not a whole lot of structure. It does feel like a fairly lightweight bag with the exception of the hardware, which does add some weight to it, but it just doesn't feel like it's very substantial or that it's particularly heavy duty in terms of how it was made. You do have that fairly detailed chain, which I do think is really, really pretty, and I think it's a nice element. And I like the fact that you do have the leather strap there as well. But even just kind of feeling it in my hand here, like, it just feels very collapsible, very easy to bend, not very structured, and it just doesn't feel like something that would cost this much money. And again, it's all relative, I suppose. Like, you get different quality points with different bags, but when I'm comparing it for what else you can get for the same amount of money, you know, even less with other brands, I just feel like you'd be better off either going for something pre-loved at Chanel, which was a bit more sturdy, or otherwise going for something else from a different brand, which is just gonna either be better made than this or feel a lot more substantial and structured and not nearly as flimsy in your hand. So while I do like the look of it, I've definitely been a little bit disappointed. Again, I don't really go for seasonal styles that much from Chanel, but I always kind of assumed that the quality would still be up there because by no means are these cheap bags. And I just don't really feel like that's the case with this one. So I kind of regret the purchase. Like, I don't mind it, but as I said, I'm definitely not in love with it, which for something that costs this much money, I feel like I should be head over heels in love with it rather than what I am, which is just a little bit meh about it. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I will include links to everything I featured in the description section below. If you have any questions or comments for me, then leave me a comment below. And if you enjoy these recent purchase update videos, please do give us a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.
I don't know how or how you do it. You blow my mind without a word. Ooh, stuck upside down. I might be dreaming, there's no way back now.